Recommendation 1 forms the basis of the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism guidelines laid down by the FATF for combating money laundering or ML and terrorist financing or TF threats. This recommendation provides detailed guidelines for implementing a risk-based approach (RBA) framework across all components of the global financial system, including countries, financial institutions, and reporting entities. Note that while applying the RBA, there are some exceptions to the applicability of this recommendation in low-risk arenas, that is where the ML and TF risk is negligible or non-existent. Let us go through all the obligations that are fulfilled under Recommendation 1. Risk-based approach, RBA. Countries, financial institutions or FIs, and DNFBPs must identify, assess, and mitigate ML-TF risks. In addition, this risk assessment has to be assessed and updated by countries called as the National Risk Assessment (NRA) and Institutional Risk Assessment by the FI respectively, which form the basis for the AML-CFT framework. National Risk Assessment (NRA). Countries must conduct ongoing risk assessments and share results with relevant authorities and institutions. This NRA has to be assessed and updated periodically by the country. Financial institutions and DNFBPs must periodically assess and document ML-TF risks, align them with national assessments and amend their AML-CFT policies as per the risks and threats. Implementation of RBA. The policies and controls must be designed to mitigate these identified risks, with enhanced measures for high risks. Monitoring and supervision. Supervisory bodies must be formed to ensure compliance and review the risk assessments under their authority. These bodies report to the national regulatory head like the FIUs. Inclusion of proliferation financing. The countries and financial institutions require identifying and mitigating risks related to proliferation financing and appropriate mitigation measures through policies and controls. Flexibility and proportionality. AML-CFT measures must be proportional to the risks and allow for flexibility in the financial system such that financial system can be accessible to all the strata of the society. Virtual Asset Service Providers (VASPs) regularly assess and mitigate risks associated with virtual assets, ensuring effective regulation and international cooperation to prevent the abuse of this channel by the criminals or bad actors of society. With all the obligations understood, let us see the challenges faced in implementing the RBA by the Recommendation 1. The greatest challenge in implementing the RBA is financial exclusion by financial institutions. The disproportionate and rigid AML-CFT measures have led to the exclusion of disadvantaged groups in some known instances, pushing them towards the use of informal financial systems, hence totally defeating the purpose of the FATF guidelines. The known effect of the RBA is de-risking. Some financial institutions and also some countries avoid complex AML-CFT procedures by ceasing certain activities and products to get rid of the process and framework dealings. This has limited the access to the financial system in some instances. For example, in 2015, African countries suffered extensively when major international banks severed ties with them after the increased scrutiny over correspondent banking, depriving the financially weak countries with basic financial services that should be accessible otherwise.